Welcome to the Undeletable Dad podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Poizner, and this is the place you want to be if you're a divorced or separated man with one or more children and you've discovered that nothing works the way it used to, or the way it's supposed to, or the way you wish it would. It's the place to be to learn to strike the exacting tone of fatherhood, to become the magnetic leader that your children will naturally turn towards, and to find out that parenting can be way less work than however you're doing it now. It's the place to hang out if you want to get off the hamster wheel of survival mode, just putting out fires one after the other, and step onto that pedestal of fatherhood where you belong.
I'm a retired special educator, special education teacher. I discovered human design long after my kids were out of the house almost. I'm a family coach, QHD family coach certified. And I love working with families.
Good. Okay, I'll let you can introduce yourself as well.
Okay.
And what about your book? What's the title of it? You can say it anyway. I'll let you just do it.
That's Parenting with Human Design. Great.
Perfect. So this should just go live. It's pretty easy.
Good.
Okay. There we go. We're live on YouTube. Welcome, Nina. Thank you for doing this. I'm so happy that we met. I can't even... Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
There we go. We're live on YouTube. Welcome, Nina. Thank you for doing this. I'm so happy that we met. I can't even... Okay.
I can hear you very well.
All right. So... YouTube. Welcome, Nina. Thank you for doing this. I'm so happy that we met. I can't even... Okay.
I can hear you very well.
Okay, this is a little weird.
That's very weird.
How do I mute us in one place? Maybe I just shut off the... Okay, are we still there? Good. I think it's good. I'm going to... Excuse me, anybody who may be watching. Let me just go here and see if it shows up in another place, because I just closed my... Whoops, sorry. I was just telling Nina that I did a test of this that worked so well that yeah, we're live. Good. Okay, let's go. So pardon that little introduction, but I'm here with Nina Cuellar-Barry, who I'm so happy to have met because she is a human design specialist, which human design is my new obsession. She's a certified quantum human design family coach. She's a retired special ed teacher, and she is about to publish a book called Parenting with Human Design. So this is like a confluence of all things from across all my different channels, literally, of YouTube. So thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit first about your own journey. You said that you've actually retired from teaching.
I did. And of course, I have 2 adult children now. And in the early years, I really only had some tools, that were helpful to parenting. And after I became a teacher, I had many more tools, because in special ed, you get a lot of training and different behavior management kinds of strategies. And they helped a lot, but it still wasn't, my parenting journey still didn't feel very smooth at times, which I know that's normal, but there were some big things that I was still struggling with. And it was after I retired, or as I was retiring, that I discovered human design. And the more I learned about it, the more it told me about myself and about my children and how I could make things much easier in our interactions. And it made all the difference with one of my children. And I've just been so happy to have found it. I became a certified family coach because I was also wanting to reach out and help families. I worked with a lot of families when I was a teacher in early intervention and early childhood special ed. But were more tools that I could use. And it's such a big part of my life now that I can't even remember sometimes what it used to be like before.
Well, we are all about more tools here, specifically because, as I was just saying to you, my audience for this YouTube channel and my platform in general is divorced fathers and women who are partnered with them and who are stepmothers. And the problem that we have in the parenting journey is that many of our, what I would call normal parenting tools, are not available to us in this context, either because the kids are not living with you enough of the time to be able to engage the way that your tools would require, or because of the maybe hostile environment between two households where your normal parenting strategy is being criticized in the other home. So we need to stock up on these like extra special tools that might not otherwise come into your world, but they give you such a leg up in terms of being able to bypass a lot of the, not the challenges, but the uncertainty, to be able to know something means that you can go straight to a different kind of useful solution instead of bouncing around. So, what can you say by way of introducing human design? Because I'm sure many people watching are complete beginners.
Human design is a system, a framework for understanding people. So it's in a way, it's a personality system, but it also has roots in very ancient traditions like astrology, the I Ching, the chakras, uh, modern day quantum physics, as well as the Kabbalah. And what it is a very certain map of who a person is. So you come in and your type and your human design is based on your time of birth, location of birth, and date. And it never changes. And that's what I like about it. It's if you have that information, you have everything, and it's never going to change. You will always be a manifesting generator or a generator. And when you use it to inform you about a person, then what that does is it gives you insight into their motivations, the way they move through the world, their energy, and so many things that you can then, through understanding, actually work with rather than against. And when you can truly see a person as they are, including yourself, I think it gives you access to a whole well of compassion that you might not have had otherwise.
That is great. I'll tell you how I got into human design. Um, it's relatively new for me in the last maybe 5 years, 4 years probably. Somebody that I was working with as a coach got really interested in human design and did a reading for me that was quite elaborate and, it takes a while to go into all the parts of it.
Mhm.
Although I don't want to put anybody off because it can be super simple to learn some important things just from what we're going to talk about today of just looking at it at the image part of the graph. Um, but I had my chart read and it was cool. It was like a bit like having your astrology chart done. And anyway, it was interesting for me, but it didn't spur me to kind of race over there and start studying human design. And a couple of years later, I met someone else who was very experienced in reading those body graph charts. And so she also did a reading for me. It was also very involved. And again, I was a little bit more interested this time because I knew what to expect and it felt more relevant, let's say, to what I was going through. But that was it. Like um I didn't get into learning about, about human design the way people might learn about astrology or gene keys is another thing that is related to human design. Um, and then just last year, I had to attend a conference, or I decided to attend a conference in New York with about 50 people, and it was a 3-day event. It was kind of a networking thing, and I actually really love networking. But there was a program, like we didn't have a lot of time for networking. We just had the, coffee breaks and lunch kind of thing. And one of the things that the organizer had asked us for in in addition to our bio was some random stuff like what's your Enneagram? What's your Myers-Briggs type? What's your human design? And so I knew my human design is manifesting. I'm a manifesting generator type. I happen to be a 6-2 sacral manifesting generator. That's the whole title. And so I knew that there were other people there who were manifesting generators. And I thought, oh, well, like that'll give me something, to talk to people about. Or like it'll be a way that I can connect with someone. Oh, I see you're also a manifesting generator. And at one point I thought, oh, maybe I'll gather all the manifesting generators together in one place and we'll take a selfie together or something. That was my idea before I got there. But I went there to network about the work that I'm doing with Bach flower essences and the system that I've developed, which is called Space-Time Alchemy, that uses Bach flower essences to accelerate expanding consciousness. That's what I was promoting there. And I got this like sudden, literally, like they talk about a download, like it was this sudden idea that I could make a blend of my Bach flower things for these manifesting generator people who were in the room. And I don't know, like it literally just came to me in a flash, not because I'd been thinking about it or studying it or anything, but the response that I got from offering it to people was above and beyond whatever I had gotten as a response to people just hearing me talk about my work otherwise. And so then I decided this was a thing and I would make a blend for each of the types. So that's only um it's not even a year ago for me that I've had this like escalated interest in human design, but it's phenomenal. It really is. And um, the idea of being able to use what you can learn just from looking at somebody's chart that you can access for free online just by inputting birth date and place information, you could learn so much about, well, about yourself too, but about your child or your stepchild and what their needs are in order to better regulate their emotions, in order to better manage stress, which is like a default situation of every single blended family that there is. There is stress there because they're living between two households. And unless they're sort of completely happily cooperating and supporting each other, which is like the rare unicorn situation, then there's always stress to be managed.
There always is, and I agree. It gives you just a unique insight into what they need, and it also gives you deep insight into what you need. I think human design is wonderful for creating healthy boundaries and for self-care. Uh, Everybody says you should practice self-care, but when you understand your human design, you actually do the things for yourself that are helpful, not just trite, get an evening out once in a
Yeah.
while, or,
Go have a manicure. Yeah.
yeah, no.
No, this is next level self-care because it is honoring. something about yourself, the way that you're designed to move in the world, honoring that and validating
Mhm.
that and giving yourself permission to be who you actually are and not to be the way your partner thinks you should be, or the way your mother-in-law thinks you should be, or the way that, you know, someone out in the neighborhood thinks that you should be dealing with this situation. So that's a huge part of what we deal with in the stepmom group for sure, of
Mhm.
um, trying to match a kind of avatar of who you think this stepmom person is supposed to be. And it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. And what's helpful about human design in that situation is that you can then take some pressure off yourself because you, by looking at your, bonus child's body graph, you can see, oh, this profile needs a lot of alone time, or
Right.
this profile needs more choices or needs more information or all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And no, he's not being extra rambunctious. He's being a defined sacral type.
Yeah. I want to show everybody um, what a body graph chart looks like.
There
So
you
hang
go.
on, I'm going to get rid of this window here and you should be able to see it. So this is what you get when you go to this particular site is called Genetic Matrix. It's free. I'm not affiliated with any sites. I just picked one to show you what you can get by putting in birth date and birthplace. This one happens to be my new step grandson, who was just born a couple of weeks ago. And I pulled up his chart to just say, oh, I wonder who this little being is going to turn
Oh,
out to be, right?
lovely. Uh-huh. Very
Uh,
much.
so we have all this information and it looks all kind of intimidating, but you don't need to know about all of this stuff. You can start first of all with just the type. So here you have emotional generator. What I said a moment ago was that I'm a sacral manifesting generator. So um, the it's really just the type is really how can I say, not really, but there is projector, reflector, generator, manifester, and manifesting generator. Is that right? Have I got them
That's
all?
exactly right.
And it's pretty easy to just read a few sentences about, what that means, what that could mean in terms of understanding somebody's personality and the things that you just mentioned about, uh, you know, someone, certain kids being more laid back and wanting alone time, and other ones who are rambunctious and need a huge amount of physical activity or need to be entertained, whatever it might be. But I would love it if you could just talk about the significance of these shapes on the body graph and what it means for them to be. You can see a couple of them are white, which is means blank essentially, and other ones are colored in. And it doesn't actually matter what the colors are, they're just colored in. There's only blank and colored in. Is that right?
That's correct.
They make colors, to make it pretty and interesting, but colored in means colored in and or defined actually, and white or clear or empty means open.
Right.
So
Well,
you go ahead.
each of those shapes refer to an energy center, and they are analogous to the Hindu chakras. But in human design, there are 9 energy centers, and in the chakra system, there are 7, or at least 7 main ones.
Right.
And so, going from, well, let's just say that the ones that are colored in means that you have consistent access to the energy of that center. And if they're white, that means you have inconsistent access to that energy. And in fact, if you are around somebody who has that center colored in and yours is white, you will actually feel and amplify that energy while you're around them.
So this is a really interesting point. Let me just interrupt you for one moment. When we're talking about kids who are easily and maybe even inexplicably influenced by the other parent in ways that we can't understand, sometimes the understanding of that is looking at this kind of chart and seeing
It can be.
where that child has an open center. And then you can let yourself off the hook in the sense of understanding that it's not about anything except the way this kid is made, right? And that you can stop, I don't know, fighting against something that's impossible and stealing all of your energy instead of pivoting your strategy to something that could be more helpful.
Um, if we just want to, just briefly look at the centers and the energy
Sure.
that they do. The top one, the top triangle is the head center, and that's a center for intuition, for ideas, inspiration, um, all of that kind of stuff. Next down that triangle is the ajna, and that is where we have concrete thinking, logic, where we keep lists, memory, and that kind of energy. The square is your throat center, which is a center for communication, inspiration, or rather not inspiration so much as manifesting,
Ah,
and creating things.
that's the
Okay,
brown one here.
that's the brown
It's
one.
at the throat area, I guess, if you would look at the body image there.
Exactly. The diamond shape is it's got like three different names. I just call it the G center.
Yeah.
And this one is open. And the G center is where you have a sense of self, who you are. It's also the center for feeling loved. So lovability is there
Mm,
and all of that. When you have an open G center, you are actually very prone to questioning whether you're lovable. And
mm.
that's just a function of having it open. It doesn't mean that you're not a good enough parent and showing your child that you love them. That's just a question that is a part of it. The small triangle
The pink
there
one.
is the will center,
Hmm.
and it's just what it sounds like. It is like will. You know how some people can say, I'm going to quit cigarettes tomorrow, and they do. They probably have a defined will center, but it's also for resources and sustainability and feeling like you can make uh, support other people.
Is this
Um,
related to heart? Sorry. That is that little
some
triangle
people
something?
call that the heart center. So in some branches of
Okay.
human design, they do call that the heart center. But I've heard other people, call that the diamond in the middle the heart center too. That's why I like to keep them,
Okay. So
separate
that's
without
that one
bringing
is
the
the
heart
will
in.
center.
Yes. And then if you go on the right side, that triangle, the brown triangle, is
Hmm.
the emotional solar plexus, and that is the center for emotions and for passion and for relationships and all that, really also creativity and the arts. That's all in that center. Straight across to that's the sacral center, and
This
that
pink one,
is
this
the
pink
pink
square. Yeah.
is for this person has consistent and sustained access to life force and workforce energy. They need physical activity. It is for everything that you need to physically do um, is right there. It's a wonderful center to have defined, but something to be mindful of if you don't have it defined.
Right.
The triangle to the left is the spleen center, and that is where fears live.
Mm,
It's all about protection, survival, safety, brief intuition in the moment. And whatever you're afraid of, those deep core fears, that's where they live, right there. And then the final square at the bottom is the root center, and that is a pressure center, as well as the head center was as well. But it's for timing, and
mm,
it's actually timing with regards to how long do I have to do this? Do I have enough time to do this?
right.
And this person actually has a really good uh, relationship with time. They will not feel pressured to do things. If you have it open, it always feels like you're not doing enough and you're always behind and you have a list that never gets done.
Oh, cool. So to have this, if this square at the bottom were to be not colored in, that would mean someone who by nature never feels like they have enough time.
By nature, yes. And
So,
that there's always more to do.
so how cool would that be to know that it's not an annoying trait of your child to feel like they're always running out of time or to be, I imagine this could be a child who has a lot of difficulty transitioning from one thing to another because something isn't done and they didn't get enough time to finish what they were doing, or
It,
to be afraid constantly that they're not going to have time to get ready for something, or that all of the pieces aren't in place to allow them to be ready for something
um,
happening.
that
Does
can
that make
definitely be
sense?
part of it because the energy of the root center is adrenaline. So it's very much in the moment, lots of energy. And it can go either way. It can be really positive. Oh, I have enough time to get this done. And I'm really going to put on, the pressure on myself. Or it can go the other way. Adrenaline, I really need to get this done and I don't feel like I can.
Right. So that sounds, I mean, what you've just said sounds like a sort of typical response to maybe like school things of at the age of middle school or high school where they start to have deadlines for handing things in.
Actually, this person will have a pretty good relationship with that. They will have a much better handle on it. If it were open, if it was not colored in and white, it would be much more difficult for them.
Right.
Here's one little hint.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you look at that root center
Yeah.
and you see that the round, the numbers are
Yes.
gates, and there's the gate 38 on the
Yeah.
left side,
Mm-hmm.
and it is colored in. People with the gate 38 tend to be what we call stubborn.
Uh-huh.
Okay, they see things a certain way, and it can be challenging to convince them otherwise. So just a
Ah, okay.
in my family, three of us have that gate defined, so
Oh my
it's made
goodness.
for
Okay.
interesting discussions.
Cool.
Now,
So go ahead, please.
now I just like to kind of say in my book, I break it down to four main parts of human design, and that if you just know those four main parts, you don't have to know anything else. And I like to make human design as functional and easy as possible because I think it's such a wonderful tool. So I would say if you know that center pink square, is it open or is it defined? Is it, do they have consistent access or not consistent access?
Is that
If
the
you know
sacral?
that, the sacral.
Yeah.
The second is the emotional solar plexus, and that is the triangle, brown triangle on the right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that one open, white, or is it defined, colored in? Because if it's defined, everything that you see, hear, look at, understand will be through an emotional lens. You will be an emotional person.
Mm.
And if you have it white, then you're not. Everything will be much more neutral when you want it to be. But you can't tell an emotionally defined person, stop being emotional. Okay,
Right.
those are two. The third one is the profile, and that is this person is a 2-4 hermit opportunist, and that tells you about their personality. I'm also a 2-4. And the last is their type. What characteristics are there for a generator? And if you just know those four things, you don't have to know anything else.
That's amazing because you can get so much information about somebody as we've just described, um, by just looking at this kind of picture and seeing which of these shapes, especially the sacral, this pink square, and the brown triangle to the right of it, the emotional solar plexus, that's already that's already such important information to know how you as an adult or how this child is made to go out into the world. This is a non-negotiable part of your personality. It's not up for um, being developed, let's say. That's not to say that you can't develop yourself if you're an emotional person. You need to learn strategies for managing your emotions, while someone who doesn't have this colored in uh, may just not have those kind of huge emotions flooding their system on a regular basis. But is it true? Let me ask, because I actually don't know the answer to this. If you have an open um, solar plexus, an open emotional center, does that mean that you would be vulnerable to absorbing other people's emotions?
Very, very much. And that was my struggle with one of my children all throughout their life and my early parenting years, because when you have an open emotional solar plexus, you will absorb, you will feel the emotions of that emotionally defined person. And in fact, you will amplify them. So if you are with someone who is feeling annoyed, say about a circumstance, you will feel that annoyance. And in fact, to you, it will feel much more angry.
Mm,
And until you understand that that's what's happening, it it can be so uncomfortable that you do everything you can to minimize those interactions or to leave those interactions. So people with an open emotional solar plexus very often become people pleasers because they want to head off any
mm,
potential bad feelings that might come up. If I say no to this, they're going to get mad. I'll just say yes.
wow. So, I mean, my goodness, imagine how impactful it is to know this about yourself and about other people, particularly kids, right? To be able to understand. Um, I mean, let's be honest that after a divorce situation, both of the parents, both the mom and the dad, are very often triggered into big emotions, and you could have a child who is just absorbing from both sides this kind of emotional stress, right?
For
Um,
sure.
or being um, easily influenced by uh, another person's energy.
Very much. And so the moms that I've worked with who have a defined ESP, well, we'll just shorten it to ESP, um, we'll talk about how their children react when they are, very sad or very depressed or very angry. And they're just very open with their kids. You know what? I am feeling kind of mad right now. And they don't have to share what they're mad about. And I'm taking care of it. You don't have to worry about it.
Mm.
That's me. And you don't have to even think about this. But what you're doing is you are acknowledging, yes, I am angry. So I'm not going to say, I'm not mad when they can clearly feel that you are. And you are taking responsibility for your own feelings. And you're saying, you know what? You don't have to worry about it because I'm taking care of it. So no worries.
That's beautiful. I like that so much. And um, I think that one very common thing that we see in these blended families is kids who become the emotional caregiver of the other parent.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so difficult to watch. And and you don't even really know what to say about it because on the surface um, it's an expression of a noble kind of quality that someone would have to want to be a caregiver. And we can't do anything to prevent, let's say, the other parent from appreciating or enjoying this trait of their child to take care of them. But we can see the ramifications of it. So um, I think that's beautiful what you just shared. What else could we get just quickly from just having a look at the open or colored in qualities of these centers?
Well, maybe just understanding that there will be two pressure points in the chart. So the head center, that triangle up top, if that's open, then that person will always be under pressure to figure things out. You know,
Mm.
there's a problem, I need to figure it out.
Oh
But
boy,
the
is that ever me?
problem well, here's the thing though. That's the head center is not a good place to make decisions. And it's not really for figuring things out. It's for having ideas and asking questions.
Oops.
It's a wonderful center for asking questions. I wonder what would happen if, or I wonder why. You know, those are the kind of questions that the head center is for. If you want to make a decision, then you have to go to your authority and your strategy. So this person is, they're an emotional generator. When you have your ESP defined, means you're very emotional in your life, then you have to wait. You can't make a decision spontaneously, a big one ever, because tomorrow you may not feel at all like you were feeling when you said yes to that big project. You might feel
That's
like,
oh,
oh,
that's so
why did I
important,
do that?
right? Because
Very.
knowing which kind of kids you want to say, this is not the right moment. Maybe you should sleep on it, or let's wait a few minutes before making a decision. You could develop some strategies
Very much.
to help a child wait on um, making a decision if they're a very emotional person and they want to, they're going to be, let's say, impulsive.
Very much. And the thing about a wave is, you know, what does a wave do? It goes up, it, you know, steadies out, and then it comes back down, and then back up to neutral. And so you don't want to make a decision when you're really low, and you don't want to make a big decision when you're way up here. And that's what the somebody with who's emotional uh, authority needs to do. They need to wait. So uh, I'll sleep on it. Or let's look at that again in the morning. That sounds very interesting. Let's talk about it in the morning. Those kind of things, you know, so that you teach them that, yes, you need to wait. You can't just do whatever feels right now.
Wow. And what about, surely there are some kinds of people who um, should follow their first, whatever their gut instinct or their hunch, and that they can spoil a decision by overthinking it.
Oh, yeah. Well, anybody can spoil a decision by overthinking it because really, you know, the list of pros and cons that they tell
Right.
you to do, that's the worst way to make a decision. But if you are sacrally defined and you're not your emotional center is not colored in, you have that gut response. It's either a yes or it's a no. And you know it in the moment, especially if you ask yourself frequently, is this a yes or a no? Uh-huh, uh-uh. And you know right away. And for sacrally defined people, that's exactly the way to make a decision.
Wow, so interesting. Well, this is amazing. I can't wait for your book because it's just going to be so useful. And I know that, well, maybe we'll have another chance to chat when your book is out and we can, get in touch with with my stepmom and divorced dad audience again at that time and kind of go through some of the suggestions that you offer in your book. So tell me again the title.
It's Parenting with Human Design, and it's available for pre-order now, and it will be out on May 13th. I'm very excited.
Awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait. This was great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me. This was wonderful.
All right. We'll be in touch.
All right, take care, Tracy.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
That's all for this episode. If you'd like more of what Undeletable Dad has for you, I offer digital courses and live group programs, as well as exclusive one-to-one mentorship with me that is guaranteed to catapult you right over the barriers of high conflict parenting and into the experience of fatherhood that you deserve. Visit undeletabledad.com for more information, or reach out to me at tracy@undeletabledad.com. We can hop on a call to find out the best way that I can help you get back in control of your runaway family. Thanks for listening. Your kids thank you too.